Hey there, 170. Welcome to session 5 already of the course. You'll notice we are like a third of the way through, which I think is crazy how quickly things are moving here. Speaking of things moving along, you will notice that for chapter 5, last session I mentioned that it's one of the first two chapters where your process and your program development really takes a huge leap forward towards being more reusable and more functionally complete. So last session, what you dealt with was selection, making a choice between alternatives. Here in session 5, what you'll be doing is called repetition, making those choices again and again and again and again and again, or as many times as necessary, so that you can essentially automate a process or procedure. So chapters 5 and 4 are really, the foundational webbing that you need that comes after, the concrete sequential type of programming that you did in chapters 1 through 3. Now we're getting into more robust, more lengthy, you'll find, but still valuable programming here with repetition. Just one quick note here before I go. You'll notice that for homework for next session, there are two pieces. There are the end of chapter exercises as per usual, and then there is a chapter 5 stopwatch challenge. With the stopwatch challenge, I'm clicking through to it now to make sure that I am correct in this. Yup. There's a description there for what the challenge entails. And let me remind everybody that as with all things we do, even though it is true that you are creating an algorithm, something that I think most of you still primarily think of as a computer program, that's perfectly okay. But at its very core, realize that it's a process, a procedure. And most of the processes and procedures that we do here for class have a physical component to it. So my suggestion to you is as follows. When the logic component starts to be difficult, when you are, trudging your way through and trying to figure out, okay, what can we possibly do for this? Start to think about those analog things that you can actually touch, clock, that you can actually see, clock, that have a physical representation of the logical steps that you need. So for all of these problems, I still like to remind you that even though you're doing it algorithmically, there is a physical component that you can, extrapolate from. So those are the two things on your docket with chapter 5 for next week. You'll notice that it's a pretty densely packaged set of podcasts for the week, just so that, you could really hear the difference between the different mechanisms we have for repetition. So those are the things that are on your plate. The good news is the weather will actually be nice this week, so it won't be like being trapped in November like it has been for the previous 13 days of September. So at the very least, you can go outside and do work, which I find makes it a little less like a prison sentence. So that is the good news. So have at it, everybody. We'll see you at the top of session 6.